Hey you guys, it's Bianca. Welcome back to my channel. Finally, this long-awaited video. I know you guys have been asking me about this. It's just I've had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. Today's video is how I passed the NCLEX with just 60 questions using UWORLD. So let's get right into the video. No small talk. Let's go. First, let me start by saying that UWORLD is absolutely amazing. Like, yes, it is expensive, but I think it's very helpful. Let me give you some background. Graduated May 1st, got my ATT on the 11th, so set date was May 20th, so I had from the 11th to the 19th to study. Hit that really hardcore. I did get UWorld though when I was in nursing school already. I got it April 1st. I got the 60-day package. I think it was 160 days, and it came with the one assessment, but we're gonna go through all of those like numbers and stuff that you guys of course want to know here. First, I'm just going to go through how I kind of used UWorld to my advantage. So I recommend getting a notebook. I had the 5-subject notebook, and I'll show you guys how I divided it. So every tab, I have the different subjects. Here on the front though, when I was going through UWorld, I was noticing that a lot of lab values and stuff are different than ATI that I've done before. So I made sure to write every single one down. So that's what this was for. Just like just a list of lab values. My first topic was med surg. Then we went into critical care and fundamentals, then to OB and peds, then leadership, and lastly I have mental health and pharm. It was nice because I have everything in here. All my notes are in here. If you guys have watched my other videos, you know that I did not review every single question. I did do every single question, but I didn't review it because I didn't have time. Let's go through how I divided this. UWorld has 2,184 questions as of this morning. I checked 5 tabs in my notebook. So I divided 2,184 by 5, which gave me 437 questions. So how I kind of divided it was I kind of want to have an equal amount of questions just so one wasn't like overlapping into the next tab, if you get what I'm saying. So the first tab I had med surg, and that was 680 questions. The next tab I had was critical care and fundamentals. I put those two together. They both came out to 397 questions. The third tab was peds and OB, came out to 399 questions. Number 4 was leadership, which came out to 303 questions, and 5 was mental health, that came out to 405 questions. Every single one but kind of med surg was the one that was around the 400 range. For the mental health and pharm, like those are very two different subjects, while like critical care and funds was kind of like eh, and then peds and OB is just like specialties, so like I mixed those in together. But mental health and pharm, I did have to put a little mini tab, a little blue tab like this, just so I could divide it and make sure I did not go into the next section. But yeah, that's how I organized. As you guys saw when I was studying, I was doing so many questions that by the end kind of I started typing because my hand could not handle it. If you're gonna type from the right beginning. Do not go from notebook to typing back to the notebook. Like just pick one. Pick either your handwriter or a typer. I picked handwriting because handwriting for me is like mind. You know, you kind of think when you're writing. While typing is just, I'm just recording information down. I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like. If you don't know what UWorld looks like, this is what it looks like. This is like the main page. Mind you, I did take all these screenshots after I was done with UWorld, after I was done with NCLEX, so I went back and messed around with some things. So some of the things are wrong. I should have done it like way before, like the day I took NCLEX, just so I wouldn't have changed anything, but you guys get the gist. So you see that it says, the left-hand side is a UWorld question bank. You can create a test, look at your previous test, performance, we're gonna go into. Notes, I didn't really use that either. Flashcards, I used them, didn't look at them. It was just there for me to look, I guess. And you can reset. I did not reset anything, so I have no idea what that does. And then I'll tell you the expiration date on the bottom here. So when you create a test, you're gonna go to create a test, you're gonna pick either tutor mode, which it'll go one question, you answer it, and it'll give you the response right away, which I suggest that you do, to be honest, because I did not do that. I did it for like the first couple tests that I took, and then like regular mode, but I prefer the tutor mode if you're doing reviewing, just because sometimes you take a test and it's like 75 questions and then you have to go back and you kind of forget what the questions were, while if you answer that question right away, get the answer right away, you know your rationale like right there. It's like, this is the rationale, this is why it's wrong. So that's my kind of little tip for that. Then you can go to question mode, so you can do the unused questions, and you can tell I did all of them. Incorrect questions, which you can tell I got like 900, almost 1,000 wrong. Marked questions, I think I marked one on accident because I don't remember marking anything. Or all, so 2183, or custom, which I didn't use that either. You see the subjects here. So that's kind of what you first see when you go into UWorld. Let's do my test analysis. So here is what it looks like. These are all the subjects. So you can go down, you can see how I did. This is, I don't think in any particular order. It's just adult health, child health. You can see the percentages that they give you. of how many questions you got right, which is green, and how many you got wrong, which is red. Then we can go into overall performance rate. So this is by system, I think. So it has its each own little system. So cardiovascular, and you can just see like all of the, I'll show you guys all of them. It tells the percentages and the P rank, which I didn't really know what that meant. I looked it up, but it still didn't really make sense. And you can just see how you're doing in each subject. So if you wanted to go to a particular subject before you take NCLEX, you can see which ones you got the most wrong there, which I recommend. And yeah, so you can just see what your weaker subjects are. In the immune, as you can see here, I went over to look some over before my NCLEX test, and that's why they're blue, because I went over to look at them. I think I omitted them because I did like a 75 question and I was just over it and I just took it off. So this is how many tests I did. I did 69 tests. So mind you, they weren't all 75 questions. Some of them were, you know, I think the most you can do is 75 on UWorld is like the max limit. Some are 30, some are 10, some are 20, some are 75. It just depended. So let's look at my overall performance graph. So this is my overall performance graph. If you go to performance and reports, this is what you're gonna see. So out of all my questions, I got 1,200 correct. Incorrect was 1,038, and omitted the 18 that I told you that I did the immune after my NCLEX, so it does not really count. But you can see where I was in the score rank. When I finished this, my score rank was on the midline, so it was not under or below, but it was at 48%, 48th percentile, so the median score. So I hit that mark, which is what I was hoping, so I was good with that one. But here, since I omitted them, I went down, so that's why it's at 42. Let's go to my performance by the graph section. So this is my performance by graph, so how many tests I did depending how I was doing. Like when I was at the 45 mark of 45 tests, I was kind of dipping down a lot. I was probably doing a lot more and I was really stressed out. Then you can see the other one, which is by date. So when I first started, I was doing okay, you know, steady, steady, steady. Then I did really good. And then when I was taking NCLEX, I was doing really bad because I was hitting those questions so hard. And I did so many of them all at once that I think I just drained myself out. But so I did one UWorld, like the exam, you know. So as you can see here, there was 100 questions, 68 I got correct and 32 I got incorrect. So I had an 88th percentile, which means a very high chance of passing. So I was excited about that. It says adult health, which is all you're going to be tested on. But of course, they're going to give you the little specialty questions that make it like the NCLEX. So the day before my NCLEX in the morning is when I took this test. So seeing this, I'll show you guys a little video of a clip of me how I felt. I saw it right now. I have a very high chance of passing. Oh my god. I'm in the 80th percentile, which is fine. I'm just, oh my god, my heart is beating so fast. I'm gonna show you guys. Very high chance of passing. Woo. So yeah, as you can see, I was very excited because I was like, that's one thing that I needed, you know, to make me get a little excited. So those are all of my like numbers and stuff. Well, the one thing is that, yeah, take your time, go through each question, review each question, make sure you have enough time to do it, because like I said, I crammed. I got it really early, didn't do it while I was in school because I was really stressed out, but you just need to make a timeline for it. But it was really helpful, so I suggest you do it. Like I said in every single video that I have, NCLEX was very, very vague. Take it one day at a time. Don't do 500 questions like I did if you watched. It's just do like 75 a day, divided by how many days you have left. Next day, divided again by how many questions I had left to do those that next day. It's just, you have to make it work for you. Either get a calendar, write stuff down, just make sure you're understanding the actual topics that they're talking to you about, because that's what's going to be in the NCLEX. Like, you're going to know the topic because of this. So I was talking to you guys about tips and tricks for UWorld. So these are more like the tips and tricks section of the video, more than like the numbers and stuff. But take your time, do not rush, please. Like I said, time out how much time you have to study and divide how many days you have by how many questions, so you can kind of get a view of the questions you have to do each day. If it's 50, if it's 100, if it's 200, if it's 25, like whatever. I did mine by subject. I prefer to do cardiovascular by itself, respiratory by itself. I do not like to mix different types of systems together, just because that's how my brain works better. I work better by kind of dividing each thing. I'm like, NCLEX is going to be random, but that's what the assessment is for. So if you have an assessment, that's what it's for. It's going to give you all these random questions and throw it at you. My recommendation is to do it by system, just to get you in that cardiovascular mode. You're like, okay, heart, think of heart, instead of like, think of heart, oh wait, now it's Pete, oh wait, shit, like now it's this. Like, go by system. Another tip is to make sure you actually read the rationale. If you read anything, I know at the end I was kind of rushing, so if anything, read that last sentence. So at the bottom of the UWorld question, it has a big rationale. Then at the end, it says like educational note or educational something, it says at the bottom. Read that one at least. That'll give you a summary of what's on top. If you're gonna do anything, please just read the rationale if you get it wrong. Don't get discouraged if you see your scores going down. Trust me, I had scores in the 30s at sometimes, 40s, but then I also had scores in the 80s and in the 70s, and it felt good. And it's just, don't think of my numbers and think you have to get my numbers just because you want to end at 60 questions or just because you want to, you know, hit a certain point. But go at your own pace. Everybody learns differently. Don't worry about other people's numbers. I know lots of people know, like, hey, did you get this in the 50s? Did you in the 60s? And yeah, most people who are in the 50s or 60s are the ones who are passing, but people in the 40s still say they passed. People in the 90s still say they failed. So it's just think about and worry about you and how you're doing. Don't think about anybody else. So right now, as you can tell, we're quarantined kind of still. I went in my car, got myself my little desk, as you guys saw in my other video. I'll post that here if you guys haven't seen it, and went in the car and did my UWorld questions. Being at home is really stressful, and I understand that. Trust me, I went to nursing school while I was at home. It was stressful. So find an environment where you are comfortable, you are quiet in. Trust me, I didn't do an environment, NCLEX style environment at all, but it was a place where I can be by myself, no noise, no nothing. Just sat there in my car, did my questions, and got that shit done. Another thing is also take time for yourself, please. You get so in the mode of NCLEX, like questions, like that's all you're thinking of. But one day, go outside, go get your nails done, go do whatever you want, go be with your friends. It's not bad. Take a day to yourself at least once a week that you're studying for NCLEX, or every couple hours. Just, you know what, hey, I'm gonna go to McDonald's, get myself a sundae, come back, then I'll study. It's not a big deal. Take time for you. Your health comes first. Do not, trust me, I was not eating when I was studying for NCLEX, like, at all. Like, I was just like not eating, not in the mood for anybody. Like, I didn't want to talk to anybody, I didn't want to deal with anybody. Take time for you and do whatever you need to do to calm yourself and to get back in the mode of studying. Because if you're not studying, like you're like studying 100 questions and you're already in a bad mood and you're gonna go do 100 more, like your brain's not gonna work. When I was doing so many questions all at once, like my head hurt so bad, and that was my, okay, Bianca, stop studying now, stop doing this. But don't let it get to that. Please don't let it get to that. Your notes that you're writing here in that notebook of yours is for you. So you do whatever you have to do to learn your notes. If it's draw a picture, do that. If it's writing the whole thing down, do that. A sentence, do that. Just study for you. Do not study to make notes look pretty right now. That's not the time. Time is after NCLEX, then you go make those notes pretty. But just, you have to play around with it, but just make sure you're learning for you, and so you can do the best you can do in NCLEX. So good luck, you guys. I really hope this video was helpful. If there's more certain, like, specific questions, let me know. But I am making that UWorld NCLEX questions video that people have been asking me. I made a big videos on that. It's 2 parts. So watch out for that coming up this week or next week. All I can say is, like, good luck, and hopefully UWorld helps you the way it helped me. It was amazing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.